This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Ratliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Texas, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Ratliff Show. And welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. This is Dale Huls.
Hey, guys.
He's back.
He's back.
He's back. First of all, I'd like to start out by thanking God for another day. Thank you, Dale, for being here. You said last week if I called you'd answer, so I called again.
And here I am.
But, we've got a lot going on locally, statewide, and nationally. And so let's cover some of the national stuff. Then we'll just have some conversations. And this is what everybody doesn't know. We have so much conversation before the show usually. I'm like, hey, let's just jump in and see.
We're using up all the good stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay.
Well, I just want to say,
yeah, go ahead.
I enjoy talking national with you on my program with Less Austin, More Texas.
Yeah.
We try to stick to Texas politics from a rural and urban perspective. I love coming here and talking the national issues with you. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, well, I have an opinion.
Right. No, I enjoy y'all's show. For those of you that don't know it, you can find it on
Spotify.
There you go. And so Less Austin, More Texas. It's Texas. It's about rural Texas and
we try to
just the ideas we need.
We try to keep that. We have we have great guests and usually one every week, but we really do like to get into the, how does Texas politics affect rural Texas?
Right.
But like I say, I love coming here, talking with you, because we get into some of the juicy national stuff.
Yeah. And I had fun back in spring being on y'all's show, and and it was a good time. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll get into the national stuff, then we'll see where we go. This is from Benny Johnson on X.com. Breaking. Senator Rand Paul is crafting legislation to ban welfare for all immigrants. Says those who can't afford to be here should stay home.
They used to have, as part of the immigration process, where you had to sign a declaration as an immigrant saying that you would not go on government assistance. It's like you promise not to be a burden to America.
What is it? Is it Belize? I've never been to Belize, but some of my friends have, and people that I know. And I think you can move to Belize as long as you don't have to have a job. Like, you can be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
They'll allow you to be there.
Right. As long as you can take care of yourself and you're not a burden to the government.
That doesn't seem like a crazy philosophy.
It's not. I mean, the thing is, so much of our immigration debate today is focused on the here and now. It's one political party that has open borders, and you're a racist if you don't agree with them. And the other one is, we want to close our borders. We want to protect America first. But we forget about all the history that our country, 200, almost 50 years of immigration policy that has come before. And we've gone through all different kinds of ways. Wave immigrations, banning certain people, certain countries from coming here. We have a very, very varied history on immigration.
Yeah. Well, and there have been pauses in our immigration. Like, we're allowed to do. We don't have to accept the whole world. I know, in the whole world of, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but in the whole world of, don't say mean things and how you're perceived, it's okay to say, hey, we're proud of our country. We don't have to let you in.
Right.
Now, we can help the world, but we got to help ourselves first.
Yeah, and I'm more of the let's pause immigration person now, because
Yeah.
we've got to figure out how to either assimilate the 20 million that Biden let in,
Which
or get rid of them.
You know, and so I've got mixed emotions
And that
on
means
that.
sends them back. You know,
Yeah.
not go with the fishes.
Yeah, that's right. not the World War II version.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm of the opinion, and my opinion on this is evolving, honestly. Mm-hmm. If you've been here, so I've got two different opinions. If you've been here for 30 years and your kids are here, okay, let's find a way for you to pay the back taxes you owe, and you don't have a criminal record. You have a criminal record, that's just on you. Aside from being here illegally, which makes it a crime.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find a way. But then, however, I'm like, if you've been here 30 years, why hadn't you done it yet? How much have you stolen in non-taxes, non-Social Security? How much benefits have you gotten?
How well have you assimilated into the American culture? Do you consider yourself American or Guatemalan or Somalian or,
Right.
what? Do you still speak your native language after being here 30 years and you're in your everyday life and household with your friends and family? That's not assimilation. We've had great waves of immigration. Italians, Germans, Scottish here in Texas.
Right.
Yeah, and they all assimilate. They speak the language. They adopt the culture, the American culture, and that's good. When I was in school, I was taught in history and everything else about America being the great melting pot.
Don't know much about history.
Yeah, but now it's all multiculturalism.
Yes.
Our diversity is our strength. That's BS.
Well,
That was never true.
and it's never been true in history. Look at Rome. That's what caused the fall. I haven't said this in a while. Maybe I haven't said it on the podcast, but I definitely would say it on the radio at times. Rome burned 9 times, but that's not what ended Rome. Ended Rome was everybody wanting to be Roman and not assimilating.
Right.
And then they break into the Byzantine Empire, and then you get Constantinople. You have East Rome and West Rome, and then after Rome falls, you still have Rome for another 1,400 years.
Oh yeah.
As the Byzantine Empire. What happened was this side couldn't assimilate, so they just had to split it, and then the Romans just went somewhere else and kept being Romans.
Exactly. And, you had the Islamic invasions.
What? That's not a new thing?
No, it's not a new thing. It's been around since, the beginning.
Yeah. It's like there was a guy whose family would be more than the stars of the sky or the sands of the earth, and he would be blessed. And then he had a son with a slave, and then she got sent away, and then he had another son, and then now those sects hate each other.
Wild men, type of thing. So, yeah, I get that. It's, but getting back to the immigration issues, and talking about it, and today, we don't know our history. So if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, type of thing. And I've been working on a opinion piece.
I've never known you to have an opinion, Dale.
That's true. Very rarely they come out.
Okay, yeah.
I'm struck with a little inspiration. But how we have chain migration, where if you get into this country and you're given some sort of status, you start bringing in your wife, your kids, your grandma, your grandpa.
You marry your brother and allow him to come in if you're Alien Omar.
Your third uncle, type of thing. I'm thinking with all the recent terrorist attacks by these people we let in our country, I think it's time now that we constitute get the Congress to enact a provision in immigration that calls for chain deportation. So if you commit a criminal act as an illegal alien, not only do you get arrested, prosecuted, and then eventually deported, but your family goes with you. That all your relatives are also deported if they're illegal, not American citizens, of course. And that way, you're taking away their support base. Because, a lot of these criminals, they just turn right around, come right back in over the border illegally again, and they go right back into, their families and their neighborhoods and such. But if you start making it a real cost to their families maybe they won't commit the crimes in the first place.
That's exactly right.
So that's where I'm at. It's like, hey, if you do bad here, I think your family does support you. You're not disowned, and that's where you're living, and they're feeding you and whatever. No, they get to go too.
Right. No, I'm with you. Well, and so let's kind of jump a little bit to, this is from Jack Unheard at X.com. It's breaking that the DEA is reporting that fentanyl pill deaths are dropping fast under President. Is it because we're blowing it all out of the water?
Well, I've heard two things on that.
Okay.
One is our enforcement is way up, off the charts up.
Okay.
We're looking at the fentanyl cartels as terrorist organizations, which they are.
Because they are, yeah.
And we consider them at war with us.
Right.
Which, thank God, finally Texas and other places are coming around to that. Even the federal government under Trump has says this is the thing. But I've also heard a report very, very recently that says the fentanyl that they're bringing in does not cause as much death. And I don't know how they're mixing it differently now or something. But, they're always modifying the chemicals.
Well, humor me, if you will, on this. A lot of what obviously, I'm not a big drug user myself.
Not a big one?
Not a big one. Aside from the Dayquil that I'm rolling right now,
Oh, yeah. The heavy stuff.
Watch out. But, I read, and it's been, I'm looking for it in my mind. I can't see it. A year or two ago, maybe, that China's answer to our opium wars would be fentanyl.
Right.
And that's what has happened. And for those that don't know, we encourage so much, and we, our black ops teams, our CIA, whatever, encourage so much opium use in China to negatively affect their country that now their government's like, hey, we're going to do the same thing to them with fentanyl. I think that's right.
Oh, I mean, the opium wars were a period in China's history where the Western powers, of which United States, Russia, Great Britain, Japan, they were all considered Western powers, that they were basically enslaving the Chinese population with opium.
Right.
And that's where the opium wars came out. And there's a movie I watched, Sand Pebbles, Steve McQueen.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you must see it. It basically deals a little bit with that, with the American gunboats in China.
Oh, gotcha.
And is an awesome movie.
Right.
But yeah, we went over and did that stuff in China, but first.
Right.
Okay. So are they doing that to us because they got a long memory? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. They want world domination. There is no question. That is their plan. That is why they do the Belts and
Roads Initiative.
Yeah, Belts and Roads initiatives, where they're making every third world country they can be holding to them.
Which comes to the Panama Canal, which is why we had to go back and reassert ourselves in the Panama Canal.
Right.
And why we have to stand against BRICS with that currency. That it's all part of that.
Yes.
And while we can stick our head in the sand and worry about if you're going to be able to afford to go on that vacation and go, which is fine. We're allowed to live. China's whole goal is to destroy us.
Right. And
In every way.
And they're doing that with fentanyl, but they're slick. They have a middleman to do the dirty business.
Oh, absolutely.
They have South American nations and the cartels that will take the precursor drugs that they use to make fentanyl and put it together there in that continent, and then they have.
So China can be like, oh, we can do that.
We ain't doing nothing,
right?
And so every time we talk trade deals with them or whatever, and we say you got to stop the fentanyl stuff, they're like, what fentanyl?
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we arrest people to ship fentanyl, and they probably do, but they don't arrest them to do the precursor chemicals.
Right. Well, and I have a family member that they had their patent stolen by China, and this goes into when they're trying to destroy us and everything. So much so that my family member had. Like their product had it patented, marketed, and I don't know if it was on shelves. It was definitely on Amazon with a picture of their family, and they were selling it. after a year, they look up and all that same stuff, even their picture is still on it, but it's made by a Chinese company of which did not pay them anything.
Right.
And they just had to close the company because they couldn't. So China tries to destroy us in every way.
Yeah, I mean, when they closed down that embassy down in Houston,
Yeah.
the Chinese embassy, it wasn't just because they were stealing our military secrets. They were out there doing economic spying and warfare
Yes.
on us out of that embassy.
But don't worry, we're not at war.
No, they're our friends, right?
Good night. Okay. Nick Sorter on X.com says, breaking, a U.S. appeals court has just upheld the Trump administration's ban on transgender service members.
Okay.
I didn't see that. I mean, okay, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
You know?
there's not anything I got to really talk about. Being an ex-service member myself,
Yeah.
I can't even conceive of how a transgender soldier integrates into a combat unit.
I'll give you a little more. I don't know if it's leftist, but I'll give you a little more centralized viewpoint on this.
Okay.
If you can pass all the tests, the same, everybody passes this. Call yourself what you want to. You can go to war. If you can't, you can't.
Well, I have a little bit different opinion.
That's
because
I figured you would.
It's like if you're.
But
You got to take showers with these guys.
No, there's that. Yes.
And not everybody, if you're a strong Christian or even if you're not, even if you're a transphobe or what have you,
Right.
you're still, it's not a normal condition.
No.
It's not.
And it could weigh on you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when I was in Bosnia and, we built up a showers, these showers were like, you barely had any privacy in there
Right.
whatsoever. And we had a women's shower and we had a men's shower tent. And, it's kind of like MASH, back in the
Yeah.
days. And, the men went in the men's thing and the women went in the women's thing. If you had transgender people, where the hell do they go?
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's not right.
I agree. Okay. We'll move on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Eric Doherty on X.com says the U.S. Senate just confirmed Trump appointee and Louisiana Supreme Court Justice William Kane to the federal judiciary. We're good with that. Let's see. There's a coordinated attempt to rip apart the MAGA base from the inside. That's from Benny Johnson. I agree. That's where you're getting your MTGs. And here's what I'm seeing with this. The first time, and I talk about this all the time, the first Trump administration, at the midway point, like 50 Republicans quit so that he would lose power,
Right.
and so that we would lose the House. The same thing is happening now. They're trying to sabotage him from the inside because the Uniparty doesn't like what he's doing.
That's right.
However, I believe with enough attention paid to this and with the redistricting of some of these states, we could... I mean, we're going to have to be active, right? Which is why we need good party chairs and good county chairs to get the vote out, right?
Well, we're going to have to hold serve. And, one thing that has become very, very apparent to me during this run for county chair is, people say, well, if we win our county, yay, we've got, here in Bowie County, we usually get 75% of the vote for a conservative Republican or some Republican.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they say, well, that's a good thing. It's great. We're doing our part. We're being good members of the Republican Party here in Bowie County. However, if only 50% of the available voters are actually voting,
Right.
We're 75% of 50%, which drives us down. And what happens if the rural counties are not totally engaged, totally bought into our principles, our values, and our candidates? The urban areas will overwhelm and swamp our votes.
Well, let's look at what could happen this election cycle. I'm going to be the first to say it. And then I promise you I'm the first to say this. And we'll see who chimes in on this. There's a chance with Jasmine Crockett coming into the Democrat side of running for Senate that she could carry Bowie County in the Senate race.
Really? You think that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If she can engage the urban constituent, which a lot of them know her, there's a chance. If the Republican Party isn't engaged, there's a chance that we lose Bowie County to the Democrat side in the upcoming Senate, the national Senate race. if she makes it, which I think she will be able to gain enough traction to be the Democrat Senate nominee. I would guess that it's still going to be John Cornyn. I think he survives the primary, but odds are saying right now it's either going to be him or Ken Paxton.
Well, from what I understand is he is like running third place in a 3-man race.
Really? Well, if it goes to a runoff, then he's out.
Yeah, if it does, and I've also heard that Hunt was basically recruited to come in and pull Paxton votes, but
it's not happening.
Hunt's not a great conservative.
I like Hunt, but
he's all right. But it's like Ken Paxton has a record, and people up here love him, and across the state too. So. With all his foibles, because he ain't a perfect guy by any
not our
stretch of the
savior
imagination.
for sure.
But politically, he's the guy I want in there. So that's there. But going back to Jazzy,
because she's from it, or she at least
JC,
lived here. Yeah,
they're now
JC.
calling her. Yeah, it's like okay, she's from here. She's got a lot of history in here. I wish Steve Oglesby would shut up about her in our meetings so much about what a wonderful person she is because
she used to come to the Patriots meetings.
And it's like this is not a good person. She is definitely an AOC of Texas. She's out there.
And by come to the Patriots meetings, I mean she went to one or two of them.
Right. I mean, she wasn't like a regular.
Right.
Anything.
She wasn't there eating with us.
Yeah. But anyway, if the Republican Party does nothing here in Bowie County, maybe she has a chance to win. Democrats aren't well organized here anyway.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Now that can be overcome with the church members in there that would go out there, souls to the polls, those type of things. There is a possibility. I will grant you that. But
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying there's a chance of it.
But again, we're different than most of Texas also.
Yeah.
And she does have roots here. She doesn't have those roots everywhere else.
Well, she doesn't need them in Dallas and in Austin and all that. I mean, she's got the Democrat machine behind her. I bet she carries Fort Worth. I bet she carries Dallas. I bet she carries Houston. And I bet she carries Austin.
Probably. But, that is where I was talking earlier about the rural vote balancing out those urban areas. And I was talking about Republicans there. It's the same thing when it comes to intra-party races,
right?
Where you have a Democrat and a Republican. That's where the rural vote really, really makes a difference, and we're going to have to get 70% participation out there, and having 80% of that 70% participation to even have a chance to where our values are spoken for, where our principles are carried forward, where our candidates are the ones elected.
And so back to this quote from Benny Johnson, where he's saying, "Hey, it's a coordinated effort to rip the base apart from MAGA." That's what they want. The infighting, all this, so that a Jazzy Crockett can come in, so that we're split. And we'll talk about this some when we get to our local stuff.
Right.
We need to be making sure that we're bringing our Republican Party together. We need to be together on this. We need to understand that we represent Republican values and all the things. Now, what those are, this is the time we kind of hammer it out. But when it comes time to go, it's going to be time to go. I had Denny Burdine on one time. He said the best thing about the Democrats is that they ride for the brand. And
all the time.
And we've got to get there.
But you know what? They are unanimous in their brand.
Yes.
They believe in baby killing. They believe in transgenderism.
Yeah.
They believe in taxing the hell out of you.
And that's the thing. Republicans, we are now the big tent party. Hey, we just believe in freedom.
Yeah. I mean, we have our arguments. I was there in the legislature this year, and, you can see it. It's like when it comes to property taxes, you got Republicans out there going, well, we got to fund our local governments and our schools. It's the only sustainable, sure bet we have out there. And then others like me and you are like, property taxes are immoral. We should never do that.
Right.
There are other ways to go raise money for local government.
Property taxes is tyranny,
Exactly. So it's like, we do have our differences here. And you're right. Primaries are where we hammer that out. That's where we fight tooth and nail. We don't have to be unified in a primary.
No.
This is where
we have to be able to put it together at the end.
That's right. This is where we select our champion. And
because remember in 2015, 2016, Donald Trump comes out in the primaries and he hammers little Marco, whatever he called Jeb.
Little hand.
Yeah, just everybody. But these guys, now the Bush family have not come around, and he hasn't cooled to them either. But Marco Rubio is now a great Secretary of State.
He's awesome.
Trump, there's a plan there, and that's what we have to look at where we're going. And
Trump lives in the here and now. He knows the fight he has right now, and when that fight's over, he's magnanimous about it. He will take a former defeated enemy and say, "Come on board if we can get along."
Right, and we'll talk about this some too. That's kind of like some of this Bowie County stuff. I'm running for a position. You're running for a position. It's not personal. It's about what's best for our county.
Absolutely.
And anybody that makes it personal, that's their business.
That's right.
So, all right, we'll keep going.
I like this. This is national stuff.
Right, well, it's national, but here's how it plays into what we've got going.
It always comes back.
Everything's local, everything's power, and everything's money.
Right.
Once you can see that, then it's from Eli Yakaboy on...
Say that again,
good luck. On X.com. Breaking. Gazans have discovered that Hamas hid literal tons of infant formula and children's nutritional shakes in secret warehouses. What?
Say it ain't so.
Yeah, but I thought there was a genocide happening. Yeah. No, we knew there was. This is the thing with despots and tyrannical leaders. They steal any aid that you have to hold it as pressure over their people.
Well, let me ask you this. Who did they learn that from? Was it the Biden administration when we were having our supply chain issues and you had news story after news story about infants not being able to get their formula because there was none on the shelves and people were buying it up and sending it out to charities trying to feed the babies, yet the government had warehouses. Yeah. Our own government had warehouses of this form. I'm sorry, I'm just like...
Make it happen,
that
baby.
Just spins me up because we did the same damn thing in our country.
Absolutely.
And we did it for political reasons. They did it for political reasons.
Every time. These politicians hate us. They don't care about us. And they just want the power. That's what it is.
Because the politicians don't fear the people. And the people fear the politicians, and that's why we have as much tyranny in our country as we do.
That's because they're all bastards.
Well said. Well said. Hear, hear.
Yeah. Okay, so here's this from Mike Lee on X.com. Let me make sure it's the same Mike Lee. Senator at based Mike Lee. It's got him gray check, so I believe that's him. Anyway, it's definitely time to leave NATO. You're going to give a different perspective from this because you've been involved with it more than I have. I agree. I think NATO does not serve. I'm not sure NATO ever 100% served us, other than keeping us from going back over there and losing hundreds of thousands of guys to protect Europe. Europe does everything they can to work against us. Britain has fallen. Nobody's realized it yet, but unless the monarchy, which here's what will save Britain and France, and if the monarchies have to take back over to knock things. If you get that, they come back. Without that, they have fallen. I don't think we can continue to protect them.
Okay. All right. This is, I grew up with the Russian threat. Right. I've walked across Red Square.
Really?
It gave me the heebie-jeebies knowing nuclear missiles were pointed at it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And, I've been to the Kremlin.
Okay.
And, I've seen the...
I would love to go to Russia.
I saw Francis Powers' U-2 aircraft wreckage in a Russian military museum.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's all piled up in a corner.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is that? And I walked over there and it's like, Francis Powers' U-2. And I'm like, oh, is that the real thing? And they're like, yeah,
that's it.
I'm like, wow, this is awesome. But anyway,
unlike every museum you go to has the car Bonnie and Clyde got shot at. Yeah. You're like, that's not the car. I've seen it in 17 other places.
Yeah, so it is, But the thing is, getting back to your question, I don't believe we should be in NATO forever if the very character and nature of NATO changes. Now,
which it's changing.
It is, because I like you, I believe Europe has fallen or is falling very rapidly. It started with France, where France became ungovernable in several of its provinces and states, where the state police would no longer go. Sharia is the law of the land. and they lost it to unfettered immigration. Sweden, is one of those things where I like Sweden, but they're scared to walk outside at night.
The rape rate, the percentage of rapes has just gone through the roof all over Europe.
Right. And now those are two things that we talk about that you can basically trace right specifically to an immigration issue.
Yes.
In Europe, it's infected the whole country, and it's not just an immigration issue anymore. Thousands of people are going to jail, to freaking jail for posting a meme. We talked about, I think we talked about last week about the guy, the Brit who came to Florida, who shot guns and posted it in the United States, went back to UK, and they arrested him for that meme. I'm like, oh my God, there is no freedom of speech. The courts are shambles over there. The police force is tyrannical. They are jackbooted thugs over there now.
Right.
And it's like, there's just no way. Yeah, and if that becomes the norm across Europe, I can't see being part of NATO and protecting that.
Well, and so here's what one of my European listeners commented on my channel. And I read this last week or earlier this week. I think they commented this over maybe like Friday. It says, "You are lucky to have DJ Trump as your president. He will save America if you Americans work with him and remember that in Jesus there is life and truth and a path out of darkness and into the light. In Europe, we are led by a people who are ignorant and greedy and have forgotten that we were once Christians and have forgotten the values and knowledge of Jesus brought to our lands. Jesus got us to the light and to the truth." That's from a European that follows this show.
Oh yeah,
that's real life, ladies and gentlemen.
I wish that Europe had a Charlie Kirk. People like him that would come out there and challenge the dark, and bring the light. And like we were talking about earlier, we think that we may possibly be in the beginning of a third or a fourth awakening in this country. I hear it from the young people now all the time. Every interview I see on a sports game, basketball game, football game, and the kids they stick a mic in their face and say,
"Thank you, God.
Aren't you glad to win?" And they go, "Thank Jesus. Thank the Lord."
Which is funny from, as you know, my situation, I left a radio show. One of the reasons being that I was told, "Hey, we don't talk about God. We don't talk about Jesus. You're talking too much. You're preaching to people too much." And that's on a station here in town, here locally. I mean, I'm not, everybody knows where I was. If they do, and if they don't, that's fine too.
Right there in Texarkana.
Right, yeah. They know. But that was the message I got over, and it was just overwhelming. I can handle a lot of the wanting to stir controversy, which I didn't want to do that either, and all that. But we don't talk about God. They can. Then anyway.
Yeah, when they hide the light.
Yeah,
that's when darkness comes.
Right.
And that we all know that, and that's why Republicans tend to start their meetings with a prayer. And a pledge. And those are the type of things that we need to keep doing.
Right.
We were just talking about, and I know we'll probably get into this a little bit more, but we were talking about, last night I went to a Republican executive committee meeting here in Bowie County and listened to that meeting. I immediately left there when that was over and went to a Republican, Bowie County Republican PAC meeting that was held.
Political Action Committee. Political Action Committee.
Yeah, Political Action Committee. Down there at the Church on the Rock, where the pastor let us use a room there. And we had like 20 people in there. And the pastor, John, came out there and he talked about church and the P word. And the P word wasn't prayer, it was politics.
Right.
And he talked about how churches could be more engaged and such. And in the political life without, being nasty or partisan or anything like that. And, we're talking as like, I don't mind, I would sit across from a pastor and I would say, you know what, if you were bring a little bit more of the politics, the world into the pulpit, into your church to explain things in a biblical way, I would definitely be bringing the church, the message into politics. to spread the word that way too.
Well, and I wasn't at that meeting, but I do attend Church on the Rock regularly. That's my home church,
Right.
And they never say, "Oh, you should vote Republican," or "Oh, you should vote Democrat," or "Oh, you should vote for this person." They just say, "Here's the Bible. Here's its values. Go look at what everybody that's running represents. Make sure they line up.
Vote your values.
That's fair.
Vote your principles, no matter who or what party is espousing those values and
for
principles. And that's all they should be doing.
Yeah.
However, the choice gets pretty easy when you do look at the record and the message and what platforms they're running.
Well, that's because you're a crazy racist bigot. I mean, other than that,
don't forget transphobe and homophobe and misogynist and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And like Van Deaver called me last time, Nazi.
Yeah, well, because
or at least Nazi sympathizer.
Right. Of course you are.
Yeah,
right. Why wouldn't you be, right?
Yeah, every MAGA person, every Tea Party person, there's certainly all those things, right? That's what the media tells us.
But we get so used to being called these things. It's like, you know what? The words have meaning. And then the more you overuse them, that's, everybody was racist. Everybody's a racist. Everybody's racist. Well, then you lose the value.
That was a running joke at the Bowie County Party Patriots meeting.
Yeah.
We would sit around and somebody'd say something and, immediately somebody go, that's racist, and everybody laugh.
If you, that's exactly right. If you come eat with us, you'll be called a racist, a homophobe, and a bigot.
Yeah.
Because that's what you are for being there. But because people have no value in the words. We're not all those things.
No.
And just like you said, you're a misogynist. You're allowed to be a man. The feminization of men in our country has led to a Joe Biden presidency.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and look, I cannot stand, and I don't have this in my notes. I cannot stand that for a long time, and I think I think you'll see this change because I was reading an article about it in 2026. If you were watching a commercial or a TV show or a movie, if there was a dad,
right,
and if he was white, he was stupid, gay, or just feckless.
Yeah.
He couldn't allow him just to be
usually stupid and feckless. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what it had to be, because that's the message that had to be pounded in to everybody's mind, that men are worthless. We don't need them.
And white.
Oh,
don't forget stupid, feckless, and white.
Yeah, no, I said that.
Yeah, because men of color, just obviously they're role models.
Yeah, well, and good because we have some.
Right.
But that's just not reality. Oh, these mean. I was at an event in Little Rock a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady stood up in front of a room of people, and I'm not going to say the organization because I'm part of the organization, but I did say it to people there. Have no doubt. And said, well, we know the problem is old white men. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, she doesn't realize the woke era is dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you alienate this group? Now, understanding we've been alienated. Well, let's go through percentages. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not even trying to get into all that, but when people started throwing out the word misogyny, like, please, like, I would love for somebody. Hold on, I'll just do this. Carry the conversation down.
Okay. Well, let me take it back. You're right. I think woke is dead. I think that men are making a comeback.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that attracted me to my church was, my wife goes, she was up here before I was, because I was down still working for NASA, and she's up in the camper getting the property ready. She goes, oh yeah, the church, they're having a men's night, and they're throwing knives and hatchets, at targets. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like a church I want to be in.
Right.
I used to work with my former pastor out of Seabrook, Pastor Rob Purdy, and we would, he was part of an organization where men would come out there and we'd go fishing and hunting and such. And because it was like, you got to meet men where they are.
Right.
And that's, part of our culture. Just look at the two of us. We got beards.
Yeah, that's right.
We got hair on our face. All right.
Yeah.
It disturbs me to watch a particle commercial on TV. It's like, you don't want to look like that. You want to look like this. It's like, you look like a
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So here it is. Misogyny is the hatred, contempt, or prejudice against women or girls. It can manifest in various forms, including explicit hatred, overt hostility, violence, or dehumanization, systematic or cultural bias, beliefs and attitudes or practices that enforce women's inferiority and subordinate status. Let me tell you this. First of all, as a heterosexual male, I'm a big fan of women.
Amen, brother.
So there's that. Number two, my religion, which is Christianity, the belief in Jesus, the wife is supposed to, honor her husband and all of those things. However, she's going to do that because he's never going to put her in a position that would be a bad thing. He is willing to die for her. He's willing to live for her. He's willing to give everything he's got for her betterment, for her children's betterment, but for her. That's the other side. No, I don't want to just be able to tell you not to do anything. But if I say, hey, get under the desk real fast, that's because I see somebody coming in with a gun going to kill everybody. And I'm about to sacrifice my life so that you can live, just as Jesus did for us.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So misogynist, I'm the dad of a little girl. I want her. I'm so much not a misogynist that in the event that a man was trying to, or someone that claimed that they were a woman was trying to come into the bathroom in a store, I would never let that happen.
Oh, yeah.
We would leave in an ambulance and a cop car.
Yeah. And
You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the way it is. So, no, I'm a fan of women. I'm a fan of protecting women. And so I can't stand it. And even in our local races, I've already heard it thrown around a little bit. I'm like, what a stupid thing to say. It's just so stupid. I mean, and it comes from people that, one, don't know the definition of misogyny, which is why I wanted to print it out, and two, that don't know the impact of words and have such a limited vernacular that they don't have the imagination to come up with any other term.
that's a fact. And they can't ever they can never point to one specific interest event that proves their point.
Right.
They just say you are, and you're supposed to be that, but they can never say why you are.
Right.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I lost my first wife to breast cancer.
Right.
I had a 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And before I remarried, I was her only parent.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I get where you're coming from. And I can remember her saying, well, I want to have my friends over for a sleepover. And I had to explain to her, baby,
Can't do that.
That can't happen here because your mother is not here.
Right.
And we can't have a bunch of little girls in the house with just me.
Yep.
I go, you can go spend the night with them,
Yeah.
but they cannot come here.
And in my situation, my ex-wife and I, we get along.
Yeah.
And so when my daughter wants to, I'm like, hey, you got to do that at mama's house.
Yeah.
Because the world's so against us, I never want there to even be a hint of a thought.
Well, we have our roles.
That's right.
And when that comes down to it, that's also a gender role.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Now, if I was remarried or whatever,
Yeah.
then come on.
yeah, come on. There's a woman in the house.
That's right.
And they're typically head of the households. Practically speaking.
Well, especially when it comes to your daughter.
Right. And those are I do believe in gender roles. We're built physically different than women.
Right.
To fulfill those roles.
Yeah.
Spiritually, we have gender roles there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, being Baptist, it's like, you got male preachers and such and deacons.
Right. I'm not Baptist.
Well, okay, but I am Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
I don't have anything against you guys.
yeah, well, okay.
Said in true Baptist fashion.
But anyway, nobody's perfect. But anyway, but the women in church are celebrated even though they're not pastors,
Right.
even though they're not deacons. They are the lifeblood of a church, and everybody knows that.
Yeah, let somebody get hurt or something and see the Sunshine Committee or something come to life in a Baptist church.
or feed people, or just do declarations and do the hundreds and hundreds of mundane jobs that need to be done
Right.
to keep a thriving church going. They're stepping right up in there, and it's like
So
it's not that guys don't do that too. It's like I've gone and cooked for a church before. This week I was out there assembling furniture for First Baptist Church in DeKalb.
Yeah.
Because we're building a new sanctuary to take in the overflowing
because we're on
congregation we
the
got.
verge of the next.
Yes, we are, and we've grown now to accommodate it. We're going to have our I guess this weekend we're going to have our children's programs
Right.
for Christmas, and it's like there's going to be like 25 little kids in the service doing their thing.
That's
And then
awesome.
later on, from like 4th grade to 6th grade or something like that, there's another 30.
Yeah.
I mean we're talking 50 kids here.
Side
You know-
note: a church without kids is a problem.
Hey, well, if you ain't got children, if they're not crying, they're dying, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it's like, I love being part of that.
Right.
Even as at the advanced old age I am.
All right, let's see. We've got one more thing. Eric Doherty says, Supreme Court, President Trump is on the cusp of an apparent victory, the justices signaling they may allow him to fire the member of the Federal Trade Commission. What a crazy thought that the chief executive of a department could fire somebody in it.
You mean the only person besides the vice president that is elected by the people of the United States in the executive branch? The only one elected in the whole executive branch.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the authority to fire anybody in the executive branch. Not even.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see this coming
Oh, yeah.
around. I mean, because it has. If this doesn't fall that way, I've been saying for a couple of years we're post constitutional anyway.
Right.
But this will be the stake in the coffin, and it will be a great. But I think our Supreme Court. This is why it matters. This is why the filibuster has to go away, and we have to get, because the Democrats will pack this court and they will run ramshot over us.
Right. I mean, this is one of those things where the Democrats want us to be in an administrative state.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want unelected bureaucrats, experts, to run every aspect of our life. You can't eat that. You can't flush that. You can't go there.
Have you watched the older? I watched all three of them again in the last month. They're okay movies, but they drive the point home. The Atlas Shrugged movies.
I haven't seen those in a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. Well, I wish they'd been done better.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely.
But I know they did it on a shoestring and a budget because it's an intellectual property, a huge intellectual property that nobody in Hollywood wanted to touch.
Right, but especially that's what it is. The administrative state takes over, and the world falls apart.
Right. And it does. It falls apart, and a certain percentage of people, successful, driven, motivated people, independent, they go out there, basically form their own society,
Right.
With all the benefits of technology and everything that they do, because they don't want the government to own it. They want them to own it. And that's, as much as I support Trump, and I do support Trump in 97% of the stuff he
Right.
does. The part I disagree with Trump on is the government being a business partner with
I'm with
business.
you.
And it's like,
Because it's okay while he's there, but there's always somebody else coming.
it's not okay with he's
But
there.
but you see,
Because the
point.
principle is, that does lead you into fascism.
Yes.
And right now, even he exerts a little extra pressure,
Well-
to get things his way. But he is what we needed. So don't get
Right.
me wrong.
Well, that's why
But
you have
I
to have a
don't
strong legislature and strong. That's why it all
We
has to
don't
work
have a
against each
strong
other.
legislature.
That's right. That's
Congress has failed its job repeatedly. That's why you got a Biden. That's why you got a Trump.
Yeah.
Everything you want to bitch about with our government and
Yeah.
you blame a president for, it's all because your Congress did not do their job. If you think the judicial is overreaching their mandate, they are, because Congress doesn't do its job. We have a bunch of weak people in Congress that aren't willing to do what they need to do. They don't fear us. Incumbents are elected over 90% of the time, reelected. We need to fix that, and we need to get rid of it. This convention state guys, the only thing, one of the things I really like about them is term limits. I would get behind that if that was the main deal. Term limits. Get these guys out of there. It should not be a generational job.
Right.
It shouldn't go to your son or your daughter, and you shouldn't be there for 60 years. That's insane.
Yeah.
We need a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And right now we're not, because we established a political class and they keep running. even myself, if I become county chair, I'm going to be there for 1, maybe 2 terms, enough to get it organized, running efficiently, and trained up enough people where I can step away and live the rest of my retirement outside that.
That's our studio audience.
Thank you.
So let's get into that. Let's get into some of the county stuff that we've got going on. I guess last Wednesday was the last day to file. I filed for Precinct 11A chairman to run for that.
Precinct chair. Yeah.
Precinct chair. You're running for Bowie County chair.
Republican Party.
Yeah, Republican Party chair. And here's the deal. For me, it's the want to see the party grow, the want to bring in, look, the Republican Party in Bowie County, we all have to come together, like we said, but I needed to incorporate people my age. Look, the vice president's my age. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm 40, J.D. Vance is 40.
Kids.
Yeah, that's right. So, but why? So why do we think in the county that, look? So I'm a elder millennial. Mm-hmm. Here's the way I see it: boomers have had their shot. There's a lot of knowledge to have there. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we shelve the boomers. I'm saying we.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm saying we learn from them, but it's time to start releasing some of the reins. But nobody's going to step up because without being invited. Because for so long, people were told, "Oh, know your role." Like I said, like The Rock said, know your role and shut your mouth. The boomers have it. We've got it. We'll take care of it. Well, admittedly, and now Richie's not going to like this, the boomers have done some good things.
Yeah.
Also, the boomers have put us in a hell of a bind.
Yep.
And so it's time for some fresh blood. It's time to rejuvenate and to get this party going, to get this county going, to get the state going, to get this country where we need it to go for our kids and grandkids.
Well, I will say the boomers, which I'm one,
Yes.
would be one of the more self-centered generations.
Oh.
I mean, now, they talk about, the generation before us was the greatest generation, right?
Right.
Fought world wars and all that stuff. And, there's a lot of talk about millennials and such, how they're so selfish, everything is only for themselves.
We taught all of y'all how to, well, not you, because you worked for NASA, but we taught a lot of the boomers how to use their technology.
Yeah.
And our kids, we taught how to use it.
But where I'm getting at is we were selfish because we were content with running things and we never looked towards the next generation.
Right.
We didn't listen to Ronald Reagan when he said, freedom is only one generation away from being lost.
Right.
And we didn't take
Here
that
we
to
are.
heart. Here we are. We've got our kids out there promoting socialism, political violence, basically anarchy.
Yeah.
And it's like, who taught them that? It wasn't us, but we didn't teach them the other side.
Right.
And that's where that's our failure.
Well, and it was, hey, we're just going to do it. We're going to make it our way. Well, then you had the left, Hollywood and California and New York and
the 60s hippies who became academics and taught our colleges.
That's exactly right, Richie. I say that in jest because she's like, we've done some good things, and you have. Yeah. But that being said, the free love, the free sex, the free drugs, all the things that also came into play.
Right. I mean,
that for a while was winning in our culture.
And we had people come in and stop that a little bit. Reagan did that,
right.
Paused it.
Yeah.
And then, but after, we had, things going on, and then Clinton came in, and he did his thing, which was more conservative than most people realize.
Right.
And then we've got.
Well, Clinton was forced to be conservative by
Newt Gingrich and those guys.
Yeah.
But, it's like George Bush came in. And the problem with him is he went and talked the left's language,
right,
instead of the right's language, and that's where we started to lose our grip on our youth.
Which I'll be honest, George Bush was the first president I was ever allowed to vote for.
Yeah,
and I think I was a freshman in college when I got to do that. Or
which Bush was that?
W.
Okay, see, the first
you're talking about HW.
Well, actually, I voted for. Reagan against Gerald Ford.
Yeah. Okay.
Back when I started.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, these guys, 1,000 points of light and that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, no, you should have stuck with what got us where we were, what kept us strong. Back then, you had Scoop Jackson Democrats, and people who would look at national security with a real look, and not as a political obstacle in their way.
That's right.
And we actually did work together. Tip O'Neill, he was a liberal SOB, but you know what? He still got along and could work with people.
Right.
Because as Pastor John said last night, we've lost our focus on what's right and what's wrong.
There you go.
We do not have the moral clarity we used to have as a people. And that is the fundamental failings of our country. I mean, even back then, what was it? Ben Franklin or Sam Adams or John Adams, one of them, I can't remember. They asked, what is this country fit for? And it's like, it's fit for our system of government is only fit for moral and righteous people.
Which one makes the beer?
Sam Adams.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And it's like we're no longer a moral and righteous people.
Right.
On the whole.
Well,
we have a lot of moral and righteous people, but they do not exercise their political power.
And what you're referring to is where one of them said, hey, our government's not fit with, if you don't have a moral people, this government won't work.
Yeah.
So back to our county race.
We want to go back there.
And we're not, look, I'm not calling anybody's morals into question or anything like that. I'm in it because I believe that we can expand our party and into voters that are unreached, that have the same beliefs, have the same values as me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you are too. And don't let me speak too much for you, but I believe you want to see some organization to grow our county, to grow our influence in the state so that we're heard here as a rural county.
Okay. Listen here. In my experience, I've been in the military. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been in nuclear weapons program complex. A nuclear regulatory analyst. I've worked at NASA. I've done lots of things in my life. I've been an overseas military contractor. These things have taught me organization and structure and how things should be done. And we don't invest. Right now, the Republican Party of Bowie County is invested in one man.
Yeah.
The chair. He decides the agendas. He decides what gets talked about at meetings and what doesn't get talked about at meetings. He is the one who goes to the events and maybe has a helper or volunteer to sit there in a chair and sell a T-shirt or two. That is not how you run a party. It's just not. I believe in organization. I believe in fundraising. I believe in committees. I believe in delegation. I believe in the party working, not one person working.
Because we all know them, teamwork to make the dream work.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't limit everything just to precinct chairs. There's plenty of volunteers and talent out there that we could utilize. We should have billboards and TV commercials out there talking about our values and our things. We should be out engaging with the churches, with the civic groups.
That's exactly right.
We should be affiliated or have affiliations with local political groups that, like the Bowie County Patriots, like the Republican women when they were still a thing here. The Republican Party PAC. Those are the type things that we need to do. And
we can't build fences inside of our party.
That's right. And that's what, I can't tell you how many times I've heard a Bowie County Republican precinct chair go, well, why is the Bowie County Patriots doing this, or how did they get that person there? And it's because we work with everybody to do that.
What's a biblical principle also? Ask and you shall receive.
Exactly.
Hey, make the call.
But see, the thing is, the Republican Party here in Bowie County doesn't even have the infrastructure or the capability to do what the Patriots do.
Right.
They don't have a regular meeting. I went to a CEC, a
County Executive Committee
last night. The one before that was 6 months ago in July.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do you get guests? How do you get the public involved? We had 6 people who were not precinct chairs at that meeting last night.
Well, and let me say that. Yeah, exactly. And look, I understand also on a Tuesday night, on a random Tuesday night, a lot of people, look, I wasn't able to go to either one of those because I had stuff for my daughter and have life. So I understand if it's scheduled, however, you can make plans to be there. But I want to say this. I don't think the current chairman has any ill will towards us. I don't think the person I'm running against has any ill will towards us. But I do think everyone starts this. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, maybe I should say, that everyone starts this with good intentions. I have nothing bad to say about these people. The vision just isn't what I have in mind. And however, you don't have to agree with my vision, just don't vote for me. However, if you're for a big tent party, like we have Brittany Harper going to run for one of the precinct chairs. Now, she's running against our friend, JP, but Brittany is also a friend.
She's both our friends.
And so, but if they're like, oh, these patriots must be 40 up white guys, that's not Brittany.
No, not at all.
Not white, not a guy, not 40. I mean, everything that you would think we are.
And she didn't even know she was running against JP when she filed. And it's like, and she just found out last night. And I go, listen, this doesn't have to be.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I go, you guys go and you put forth your best vision. Whoever wins, and you still be friends. And the one who loses, if you still have a heart for this sort of thing, go help that person be successful as they can.
Right.
And JP, he's like, she wins, great.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's there to serve. He's not there for a position.
Right.
And that's a good look at that.
Well, and so here's what I'll say. I see us as the big tent party. We're welcome. We welcome, we welcome other ideas inside of conservatism, right? And not every Republican's as conservative as I am, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right? But we're welcome. We welcome new ideas. We welcome new faces. We welcome new thoughts, and that's what I want our party to look like, and that's what I'm trying to bring to it. Because somebody asked me, what my difference was. And that's basically what I said was, hey, look, I'm for this. Here, let me see if I can read it again. I got the question, and I won't say who sent it to me because I don't want to implicate them. but they said, so what is at the heart of why you are in this precinct race? What do you want to happen when you are the chair? And this was on Sunday night, and I replied, I didn't test this through AI. And, this is just off the cuff. I said
it's just basic Zach.
And this is a real life Ratliff, baby.
That's scary.
Yeah. Here are some thoughts. Nationwide, we see the Republicans coming the big tent, let's grow together party, and it's awesome. I want to be part of that here. I believe that if we share 80% of the same Republican values, we should work together and do what is best for our county and party. I'm for a party that is reaching out to people my age and younger, trying to get them to come on board. A party that has meetings and is active, and mainly a party that will seek to go the direction God tells them. I understand that one person, like you said, can't do that, but I'd like to be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's well said, actually.
Yeah. I should have a podcast.
Hey, giving you comments. It's like, that was pretty good. And basically that's what, in a nutshell, that's kind of where I'm going too.
Yeah.
It's like, me and Gary Singleton, we may believe 80-90% on the same things.
Right.
He's, from everything I know of him and seen of him, he's not a
he's not a bad guy.
He's a nice guy.
His wife's a nice lady.
Yeah.
Lisa, always very nice to me.
But where we have a difference is tactics,
right?
Strategies.
And it's okay to have that.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation, just like Marco Rubio and Donald Trump in the primaries of 2015. Now Marco Rubio has a chance of going down as one of the best Secretary of States we've ever had.
His hands got bigger.
His hands grew all of a sudden. I mean, so.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think Marco Rubio's done better in that job than anybody I think I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he would be a legitimate guy to be an heir to Trump.
Yep.
Vance has done a remarkable job also. It's like those two together.
We still have 3 years to go too, baby.
I know. So it's like, but the thing is, they had a difference in strategies. They didn't have a difference in principles and values.
Right.
And that's where I see this race. I would like to run the Bowie County Republican Party differently. I don't want to be the guy. I want to be the leader that helps everybody else become the guy.
Right.
God gave us gifts, but He didn't give us all the same gifts. He gave some gifts, organization, some persuasion.
Right.
A heart for servant.
Right.
All those type of things. But not everybody's the same, and not everybody can do those things the same.
Exactly right.
And that's why you have the different offices. You have chair, you have treasurer, secretary.
Yeah.
And you want people in there whose gifts are those.
And that's exactly right. And like I said, we all have different gifts. Well, it's our job to find them and to utilize them, and that's what the primary does. So
Right.
All right. I think we hammered it.
Oh my God.
Huls for Bowie County
And Ratliff for precinct chair.
There we go. Anyway, we want what's best for the county. We want what's best for the party, and we want what's best for our families and everybody else's family.
Amen, brother.
So anyway, all right, Dale. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. All right,
see you
everybody.
next Wendy.
Yeah, that's right. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today.